Roughly 66 million years ago, the Earth bore witness to one of the most violent and transformative moments in its deep history. A massive asteroid slammed into what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The cataclysmic impact unleashed devastation on a planetary scale. Shockwaves flattened forests, tsunamis raged across oceans, and a suffocating cloud of dust and gas rose into the atmosphere, blotting out the sun. The skies darkened, temperatures plummeted, and the finely balanced food webs of the Mesozoic world unraveled. This singular event, known as the Cretaceous-Paleogene (KPG) mass extinction, brought the reign of the non-avian dinosaurs to a sudden and fiery end. But the death of the dinosaurs was not the end of the story. In fact, it was the prologue to a new chapter, the Age of Mammals. Yet this transition from one world to another was far more complex and drawn out than the simplistic asteroid kills dinosaurs. Mammals rise story often told. Beneath the rubble of that cosmic collision lies a tale stretching back hundreds of millions of years, full of upheaval, resilience, and renewal. So sit tight as we dive into today's mystery, and you will have incredible luck if you like and subscribe before this video ends. The age before the dinosaurs, the Great Dying. To understand how the world of the dinosaurs came to be, and how mammals eventually inherited the Earth, we must start even earlier, over 250 million years ago, during a time when life teetered on the brink of annihilation. The Permian-Triassic extinction event, ominously known as the Great Dying, unfolded roughly 252 million years ago. Unlike the sudden asteroid impact that ended the dinosaurs, the Great Dying was a slower, more suffocating catastrophe, likely caused by enormous volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia. These eruptions spewed vast quantities of carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere, triggering runaway global warming, ocean acidification, and the collapse of entire ecosystems. The consequences were staggering. Up to 90% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates vanished. Coral reefs disappeared. Insects, which had dominated terrestrial ecosystems, were decimated. Ancient forests withered, leading to what scientists call the coal gap, a stretch of millions of years in the early Triassic when almost no coal was formed, indicating a near-total collapse of plant life. Out of this devastation, the stage was set for a new world to rise. And among the survivors were the ancestors of two great dynasties: Archosaurs, which would give rise to dinosaurs, crocodiles, and birds, and synapsids, mammal-like reptiles whose descendants would eventually become true mammals. Triassic period, 252 to 201 million years ago, the rebuilding. The Triassic period was a world in recovery. In the wake of the Great Dying, ecosystems slowly began to reform. Ferns, hardy pioneers, spread across barren landscapes, and new animal groups emerged to fill the empty niches left behind. Among the first to rise were the early Archosaurs. At this point, they shared the world with the remnants of the synapsids, which had dominated the Permian era. But gradually, the Archosaurs began to outcompete their rivals. A key innovation in their hips and lungs gave them greater endurance, speed, and efficiency, perfect for a warming and drying world. By the middle of the Triassic, the first true dinosaurs had appeared. They were small, bipedal, and fast, and they lived alongside other strange and now extinct reptiles. At the same time, the first true mammals quietly emerged, tiny, nocturnal insectivores eking out a living in the shadows of their larger cousins. The Triassic ended as it began, with an extinction. The Triassic-Jurassic extinction event eliminated many of the competitors of dinosaurs, including large amphibians and other archosaurs, giving dinosaurs a golden opportunity to dominate. Jurassic period, 201 to 145 million years ago, rise of the dinosaurs. With their rivals gone, dinosaurs exploded in diversity during the Jurassic period. Towering plant eaters like Diplodocus, Brachiosaurus, and Apatosaurus roamed the lush conifer forests, while predators like Allosaurus hunted in packs. The supercontinent Pangaea began to split into northern Laurasia and southern Gondwana, and with this breakup came changes in climate and ecosystems. Rainfall increased, and the environment grew more hospitable for dense vegetation, fuel for the massive herbivores of the time. Meanwhile, in the shadows, mammals persisted. They were small, warm-blooded, and likely nocturnal, an adaptation that helped them avoid the gaze of diurnal dinosaur predators. Though minor players in this age of giants, these early mammals were already diversifying into different forms, including gliders and burrowers. The skies, too, were coming alive. Pterosaurs, flying reptiles, ruled the air, while the first birds, descendants of feathered theropod dinosaurs, began to take flight in the late Jurassic. Cretaceous period, 145 to 66 million years ago, a world at its peak. The Cretaceous period was a time of tremendous change. Continents continued to drift toward their modern positions, creating new oceans and isolating species in different regions, which in turn drove rapid evolution. This was the age of titanosaurs, the largest land animals ever to walk the earth. Among them was Patagodoton, a 37.5-meter-long giant that roamed South America. These creatures could strip entire forests of foliage and may have played a role in seed dispersal, much like modern elephants. Predators, too, grew to massive sizes. In North America, Tyrannosaurus rex became the apex hunter, while smaller raptors like Velociraptor honed their cunning and speed. Plants were undergoing a revolution of their own. Although conifers, cycads, and ferns still dominated many landscapes, flowering plants, angiosperms, began to rise dramatically in the Cretaceous, thanks in part to a new evolutionary partnership with insects. This diversification created new habitats and food sources, supporting a wider variety of herbivorous dinosaurs. And again, in the shadows, mammals evolved. While still small and relatively rare, some began to experiment with diets and behaviors that would later become hallmarks of modern mammals. Britain in the Cretaceous, chalk and giants. The Cretaceous gave Britain its most iconic geological feature: chalk. This soft, white limestone formed from the microscopic shells of plankton in shallow seas, and today forms the White Cliffs of Dover. Fossils in this chalk reveal the ancient marine life of the time: ammonites, mosasaurs, and ancient fish, but land fossils are rarer due to the marine conditions in which the chalk formed. However, in areas like the Wealden Group near Bournemouth, we've uncovered evidence of iguanodon, one of the earliest dinosaurs ever named. These creatures browsed on ferns and cycads in open woodlands, a landscape more like a fern-dominated savanna than today's forests. The end: fire from the sky. 66 million years ago, a 10-kilometer-wide asteroid struck the Earth near what is now Chicxulub, Mexico. The impact unleashed energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs, setting wildfires across continents and sending debris high into the atmosphere. Acid rain followed. Then came a nuclear winter as sunlight was blocked, disrupting photosynthesis and collapsing the food chain. Over 75% of all species on Earth perished, including all non-avian dinosaurs, large marine reptiles, pterosaurs, and many plants and invertebrates. Only the smallest, most adaptable creatures survived, and among them were birds, crocodilians, and mammals. The aftermath: the mammalian dawn. For tens of millions of years, mammals had lived in the margins of dinosaur-dominated ecosystems. But in the wake of the asteroid impact, they rapidly evolved to fill the voids left behind. Within a few million years, they diversified into the ancestors of elephants, whales, primates, and eventually humans. A long-standing debate continues among scientists. Did placental mammals, those with long pregnancies and live births like humans, evolve before or after the extinction event? Fossil records suggest their rapid radiation began after the KPG extinction, but genetic studies indicate they may have had much earlier origins. This ongoing mystery highlights just how much we still have to learn about this pivotal moment in Earth's history. Legacy of the Mesozoic. The Mesozoic era, spanning over 180 million years, was a time of spectacular life and apocalyptic death. It witnessed the rise of the dinosaurs, the evolution of birds and mammals, and the shattering of supercontinents. It saw forests grow at the poles and oceans cover much of the land. But perhaps most importantly, the Mesozoic laid the foundations for the world we know today. The extinction of the dinosaurs didn't just end an era. It made room for another. Without that asteroid, mammals might never have risen to prominence. And without the long, quiet persistence of tiny mammal ancestors throughout the reign of the dinosaurs, the story of life on Earth, and our own existence, might have taken an entirely different path. Feel free to leave your comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more mysteries like this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.